Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to change your transmission fluid on a Toyota 4Runner. So this job is pretty simple, and these are some of the tools and supplies I'm going to be using for the job. You can see here I have Valvoline Max Life ATF transmission fluid. It is Dexron 3 compatible. I've been using this for a while and it seems to be pretty happy in there, so I'm going to continue to use this. Now I'm not sure how much fluid is actually going to come out. Some people have said maybe 5.5 quarts, some will say 3.5. So I have 4 quarts here. Hopefully this is going to be enough, and if not, I'll let you guys know in the video. You also need a new gasket. This is the official gasket. I'll leave a part number on the screen as well as in the video description. You can also use these other gaskets that are fairly new, and I used this before not knowing that I had these gaskets, but I'm probably going to stick with the OEM one rather than using these, which are for my Toyota Prius. And then you're going to need a ratchet and 14mm to take off the drain bolt. And then down here you can see I have a drain pan for the transmission fluid, as well as a deep funnel that will fit in the transmission dipstick hole. That way we can refill the transmission. And then over here you can see I have 2 jugs, one that's clean and one that's not. What we're going to do is whatever fluid comes out of here, we're going to be measuring it in this tub here, and then for this one we're going to put the clean one in there and match the lines. That way we know that whatever we took out, we're going to put the same exact amount back in. Now I suspect it's going to be about 3.5 quarts that's coming out. The manual does say only 2 quarts is supposed to come out on a drain and fill, but I've seen other people report that a lot more comes out. So cross my fingers and hope that I have enough transmission fluid for the job. Alright, we are on the passenger side, and that orange thing right here is the transmission dipstick, so you can go ahead and just take it out or leave it a little bit loose. I think that'll help the transmission fluid flow a little bit faster. Alright guys, we are at the passenger fender here, and right below, right here, is where you can find the transmission drain bolt. Alright, so go ahead and take your 14mm and just crack open that bolt. And get your drain pan ready. Alright, there she goes.
A few moments later.
Alright you guys, we're at pretty much the step where we can actually put the drain plug back on. I'm not too concerned about getting all the fluid out because most of my fluid is pretty new, and also I'm worried that I might not actually have enough fluid, so I'm going to go ahead and just stop it right here. And you're going to want to make sure you take off the old gasket here. There you go. And it looks like it just stopped dripping, so just clean up that surface a little bit. And then you're going to want to put the new washer on, and there's a side that actually crushes. It's the circular side. That part goes up against the pan. Alright, go ahead and put this back on. Alright, so once you tighten this up, the torque spec is 15 foot-pounds, I believe. I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. And you don't want to tighten it too much, so. Alright guys, we got it all torqued up. We're done down here. We're going to take this drain pan here, and we're going to measure the fluid. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and put it in here. Try not to make a mess. Alright, we're pretty much full there. Alright guys, as you can see, this jug is pretty much full. I'm going to pour this one into the clean jug now and see how far I get with it. Womp, womp, womp. So as you guys can see, I don't quite have enough transmission fluid here, so I'll have to go get another jug. And over here, we've still got a little bit left in here. So it might be just right around 4 quarts. I didn't actually have a full 4 quarts. If you guys actually watched my other video on the Durali transmission cooler install, I actually had to use some to top it off. So I went ahead and poured the full jug into here, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's right out there how much came out, and then this is the remaining for the jug. So when I get new fluid, I'm going to want to do 1 full jug plus up to that line. And you can see here I don't quite have a full jug. Alright you guys, I got a brand new jug from Walmart here, and you can see a brand new jug stops right about there, which is 4 quarts, and you can kind of see 1, 2, 3, 4 matches. And remember, I dumped the new fluid into this jug right here, and I still have to fill it up. but I wanted to give you guys a frame of reference. So if you're doing this job, you probably are going to need 2 jugs or at least 5 quarts, and maybe even 5.5. I don't really know, but I would just buy 2 of these jugs. The 1 quart jugs are going to be pretty expensive for this. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill this to the top. Remember, we have our mark here. So we need 1 full jug and up to this line, and that'll be pretty much the same amount as what we had earlier. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and stop there, and then once we dump this into the transmission, we'll come back and measure this amount over here. All right guys, we're over here at the vehicle. You're gonna wanna pull the dipstick out, just set it aside somewhere. Now you're gonna wanna put your funnel in there. Oh, it's still dripping a little bit. And then you're just gonna wanna dump your new fluid in. This funnel barely fits that hole, so make sure you hold on to it and just let her drain down. All right, you guys, got my other amount measured up here to that line, and we're just gonna dump it in now. All right, once you got all the fluid in there, we're just gonna put the dipstick back on. Helps to use 2 hands, so you can just force it in there. It's kind of a pain, but mine's not too bad. All right, next we're gonna just fire up the vehicle and cycle the transmission a little bit in all the gears. And I'm actually gonna go take it for a drive as well, so that way it can warm up the transmission. And then we're gonna check the transmission level and then check for leaks.
A few moments later.
All right guys, we are now back, and I just drove around the block a couple times, and the transmission should have warmed up by now to operating temperature. Operating temperature is 158 to 176 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm just gonna call it that. But what you wanna do in order to check your transmission fluid level is you actually have to leave the engine running on a level surface and in the park position. So right now it's sitting there. I'm gonna turn it on in a second. And then once you do that, you'll pull the dipstick out and you'll clean it, you'll put it back in, and then pull it out one more time and then take a reading. And what you want to see is that the fluid level, where it goes solid, is actually in the hot zone. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's going to be a little bit loud, but I'll see if I can show you guys on the camera. Alright, so you probably can't see that well, but it's right here, and the lower hot level is right here, so it's a little bit short. All right guys, I just poured another maybe half a quart in there, and you can see now I'm in between the 2 hot lines. I'm like almost to the top here, so that's perfect, and that's what you want. All right guys, make sure after you fired up the engine and checked the fluid that your transmission pan is not leaking. This is the final step, just like any other oil change. And then once you're all done with the job, make sure you guys recycle your oil, and it's pretty convenient that I have recycling with my garbage service. So they just give me these 2 bins and I put them in there, and it's pretty easy, it just goes out with the trash every week. All right, you guys, that pretty much wraps up the transmission drain and flush. As you can see, it's a pretty simple job. It's pretty much like an oil change. One thing to note is that we only got about 4 quarts out of the transmission. There's actually 10.8 quarts according to the manual. So as you can see, we only took out about 40% of the transmission fluid, and you may be wondering, how do you get the rest out? Well, the best way to do that is to actually just drive the vehicle around and let the old transmission fluid and the new transmission fluid mix. You actually don't want to drain out all of the transmission fluid and replace it with all brand new, because if your vehicle is old or you've never changed your transmission fluid before, that old fluid is probably making your transmission work. So you have to be a little bit careful with trying to drain everything out. Now, some shops might advertise a transmission flush. You definitely don't want to do that, because what that's doing is that's pushing out all the old fluid and pumping in new fluid, and that way you basically get all new fluid. Like I said, you don't want to do that because you can actually risk your transmission not working anymore after pumping in all that new fluid. You actually want to keep some of that old fluid because it actually holds on to some of the clutch material and it makes your transmission actually shift. What I recommend is you do this transmission drain and fill every 15,000 miles or so. It's actually recommended that you change the transmission fluid every 2 years or 30,000 miles. But if you change it every 15,000 miles, at least you'll get 40% new fluid and 60% old fluid. Now, if you do have service records and you know when the last time you changed the transmission fluid is, and you really want brand new fluid in there, what you can do is you can actually take the vehicle, drive it around, and then come back and then just do another drain and fill. That'll dump the fluid out again, about 4 quarts, and then you can dump 4 brand new quarts in. And you can do this about 3 times, and that'll pretty much give you 80% brand new fluid. Now, I did this a long time ago when I first bought the vehicle at 147,000 miles, and today I think I have 179,000 miles. And so you can see I'm just gonna do 1 drain and fill, and then 12 or 15,000 miles later, I'm gonna do another drain and fill. Well guys, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. It helps support this channel and helps recommend this video to other people. Also, if you like content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. That way you don't miss another one of my videos. As always, I'll link all the products and tools I use down in the video description below, so make sure you guys check that out. If you have any questions about anything, let me know down in the comments. I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as I can. As always guys, thanks for watching and have a nice day.